What is worship? We actually get our English word worship from the Old English word worthship. It literally means to ascribe highest worth to someone or something. And we do this with all different things. We could do this with football, or we could do this with Jesus. And to ascribe highest worth to anything or anyone but Jesus will distort our lives. And one of my favorite examples is one that Tim Keller gives of a woman who has this jewel that's been in her family for a long time. It's just been kept in a drawer. And she doesn't know what it's worth, but she decides at the end of her life to take it to get appraised. And the jeweler is looking at it with his looking glass, and he's seeing the facets and how it refracts light. And once he realizes that this is the most priceless jewel he's ever had in his possession, the looking glass falls from his eyes, and his breathing becomes short because he realizes the value of what he has. And he can't help but exclaim to this woman, "Do you realize what she has?" And when she realizes what she has, she knows that she has not been living in accordance with the value of this jewel. And so many of us have a relationship with God like the woman had the jewel in the drawer. It's just locked away. And so it's not until we see the value of Christ, until we use the looking glass of the cross to see how valuable he is, that we can truly worship him. We can give highest worth to him. So I get this question a lot about how to keep songs fresh that we play over and over again. Sometimes we'll play for 8 straight camps in a summer, along with coming back home on Sundays. And when a song like Our God or a song like 10,000 Reasons comes out, it seems like you're playing it over and over and over again. But I have to remind my guys and my band, and I have to remind my own heart, that when we go to new places, that these songs are falling freshly on hearts in new and different ways, and the Holy Spirit is moving in new, fresh ways. And so seeing that, feeling that, and sensing how the Spirit is moving differently than he did the week before, that keeps it fresh for me, that keeps it fresh for my band. Now, if we're playing the same song over and over and over again in front of the same group, say our home church, or I've led for the same event several years in a row, then I try to keep in mind that I don't want these songs to be overplayed. I do want them to fall fresh on fresh ears. And so mixing in some hymns, mixing in other familiar songs, being careful about how to introduce original songs, these are how we keep things fresh. Well, volunteer ministry is absolutely essential to worship ministry across the Big C Church. We can't just have everybody be a professional. The funds will be depleted. We can't give as much to missions, so we need volunteers. And I've been in that situation. For 8 years, I led for a student ministry that was completely volunteer-based. Now I'm in a place where I'm on a stage at the Austin Stone, and so if somebody comes up to me and says, "Hey man, I'd love to be on the stage," then the first thing I'm going to do with that volunteer musician is, first of all, assess their skill level, and then put them in the appropriate place. And a lot of times that means from the ground up. A lot of my guys started playing for kids, or worked their way up to playing for students, and now they're leading the congregation on a Sunday morning. And so if you're at kind of the base level of that volunteer process, like I was for 8 years leading a student ministry, then I see how good a drummer is. Is he ready to play with the drum set? And if he's not ready to play with the drum set, then we will just start on a djembe. Or maybe he needs to be learning from somebody who's better and further along in the process, that's already in the student ministry. Once they've got the djembe down, then we move to a drum set, and we just simplify, simplify, simplify. Just play within yourself. If all you can do is 4 on the floor and these simple beats, don't try to throw in the latest fill that you learned that week. That's not what it's about. It's about adding to the worship experiencing and not taking away. So helping volunteers to play within themselves and getting them in the right spot within the church's ministry. Some resources that I like to go to for worship are Worship Matters, book by Bob Coughlin that I went through with my band a few years ago, Unceasing Worship by Harold Best, and then a more practical book about worship services and liturgy is a book called Worship by the Book that's edited by D.A. Carson. And then as far as blogs, I love the Gospel Coalition worship blog, and I'm all about the Austin Stone worship blog as well.